Hello, this is George Sandman. I'm the founder and CEO of Growth Drive. And Growth Drive is a system used by business advisors to drive client profits, growth, and value. Now, we're also a community. Every week we get together to talk about all things business advisor, everything clients, cases, things we're seeing out in the world. Now, tune in here to this podcast, and you can join the conversation by scanning this QR code, passcode 867-5309. Jump into the conversation. Everyone's welcome. We're looking forward to having you. So here we go. On with the show.
I met all the rest of the people. I'm sorry. I jumped in rudely and introduced myself. I didn't introduce myself.
No, Mike Garrison introduced you.
Yeah, exactly.
Appropriately.
We spent a little bit too much time down in Florida together recently, and
But we didn't drink too much.
no, we did not.
But talk about the event, guys. What were some of your key takeaways?
I think the thing I take away the most from that event is the thought leadership, right? There are world-class, we had Jimmy Johnson there talking about what it's like to own a business. We had a panel of business owners talk about, I have never heard business owners let down their hair so much. One of the guys I went through SEPA school with, he almost died while he was on a trip, came back up having to decide he was going to leave his ownership and with a partner, and had to go through a split with a 50-50 partner and talked about that. And it was, I had heard a little of the story before, but most of the room hadn't. It was, you could have heard a pin drop in that room other than him speaking. Like everybody was like jaw dropped, glued to the stage. Another guy, his dad, they built churches all over the country, and his dad went out and had I think I caught this right, Mike. His dad went out and had an affair, and it ruined.
No, you did not catch it right.
I didn't catch it right.
No.
What happened to his dad?
Nothing. It was the pastor of that big project. Right. So, anyways, too much detail. You're giving too much detail.
No, never too much detail. The point, guys, is there were some really fascinating stories about how things work, and that the death, divorce, disability are real in business owners, right? Like, and it became real in this talk, and it was really, really interesting.
So I would say all that, so Jimmy Johnson was especially interesting because he talked about going from a driver, and then all of a sudden now he's employing 80 people, right? 80 to close to 100 people now. And he talked about how that was a big thing. I would say this, I was struck by, and George and I had multiple conversations and stuff during it, but I was struck by this. EPI has provided an unparalleled platform for everyone that's serious about being a growth driver. There were 1,000 people there. There's nothing close to that in our community, and they are not policing that community, right? So one of the great opportunities, since we are presenting a really virtuous pathway to transforming businesses, right? Our strategic capacity. One of the advantages we have is we talk completely differently than your average value advisor. Like our culture, the way we talk, completely different. And it's very, very attractive. Additionally, if any of you people would freaking come to the conference, I would be glad to give someone besides Eric all the referrals.
Don't come. I'm enjoying it.
Like literally.
It's interesting, Mike, and I mean this.
And I'm dead serious, by the way. I'm dead serious.
I hope the analogy is a good one. They have created a
carnival.
Well, I hesitate to use this because I don't want it to sound, but they've created a stocked pond, right?
Yeah.
It's just a stocked pond, and great. And you have a license to catch as many fish. You don't even need a license. Well, you do need a license, but to catch as many fish as you want. What Mike and I end up talking about is the magic that can happen, right? The alchemy that can happen when wealth advisors know, like, trust growth advisors and vice versa, and we create a virtuous circle of delivering client wins, right? That's the name of the game, delivering client wins. And that's very, very, I was just on the phone with an incredible woman in the wealth advisory world who is, I think she's a CXP. She is definitely a SEPA. And the incredible importance, the transformative importance that being relevant to your business owning clients' business, because that's the vehicle for their wealth, is. Did that make sense? So anyway, guys, let's continue to decode this. We're doing great work with BEI. We have a lot of SEPAs in the community. I just have not yet chosen to. Yeah, I'm busy, man. Only so much time. But I chose not to go to Florida this year for a lot of reasons. My travel schedule, some personal issues, etc. I was down to looking at hotel rooms, and I decided at the last minute to not go.
So, George, one thing I would say, contrasting the two organizations, there is nothing like this at EPI.
Literally.
Yeah.
So it's an easy choice to say, I'm going to be in both, because you're right. The fishing pond of EPI is great for its own reasons, but it doesn't have this. It doesn't have the connection. It doesn't have, so for many, many years, Laura and I attended a very large church in Milwaukee. And we always used to say to people when they'd ask, how can you go to such a big church? And we would say, look, our church is the church within the church. Like, we're of our group of people that, that we're connecting with, whether it's the young marrieds at one stage of our thing, or whether it's the ones with small kids, or later on it was, there's all these different phases, and we connected with a group within that phase. And I think in EPI, you can't plug in, you can't be part of EPI total and get anything out of it. You got to find the place in it to do it. But what I love about Growth Drive is here, it's easy to plug in with the community. The community is right sized. It's like going to the neighborhood bar. You can sit at the bar and talk to everybody. It's cheers. You walk in, everybody knows your name. You can interact with people. You can have some fun. You can do things. It's a totally different vibe. It's a totally different value proposition, right? I'm there to fish. I'm here to learn and sharpen my sword with other smart people, right? And so I just say, George, I know you don't, but it's not a comparison thing, because they're totally different, right? And I know you know this, George. I know those of us on the call know this, but those who are watching this, it's not to go to EPI instead of, it's an and, not an or, right?
Yeah.
Kind of situation.
Thoroughly agree. And Eric, to your point, a lot of us have multiple designations behind our name. And that, we tend to attract those lifelong learners who have, who may have a CFP and a CPA and a CVA and a C3D, most importantly, C3D.
Plug.
And I'm working hard. I'm working very hard. Good morning, Ed. Ed, CEXP and CEPA, right?
Good morning.
And
And
C3.
MBA and CPA and C3D. Doesn't, but our clients don't care about the alphabet behind our name. My comment was going to, this is a community of lifelong learners, and we're here by and large because we want to be relevant to the
Business owner,
the growth and the ultimate value of we understand a business as an asset. We want to help the shareholders maximize the value of that asset, which is their fiduciary responsibility. And we are dedicated to doing that. And what is different in our community, okay, I'm going to shut up. Very diverse professionally. Okay, I'm done.
Ed wants to say something.
Ed,
Yeah, I think
morning.
one of the things, when we were at a meeting this morning, one of the things I said very loudly to this financial planner, I said, is how many times do you talk to your business owner about what their return on their business investment is compared to what you're doing on their liquid investments? And he said, that's a very good question. And I said, and 99% of you don't want to ask that question because you don't want to answer it because you can't deal with it because you don't do anything to help it.
Yes.
And he says, correct. And he said, correct. We don't do anything to help. And I said, that's what I do. And that's what Joe does.
You know, I've always liked you, Ed. I've always liked you.
I always like that guy.
Thinking about a new acronym to put behind my name, RBJW.
BHD. You know what BHD stands for?
Really, really big jackwagon.
Oh, no, it's bald-headed guy.
Bald-headed guy. I like that too.
By the way,
I can't subscribe to that tag.
You don't believe I'm a bald guy? Ed, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I can't subscribe to that.
Hey guys, a couple of announcements while I think of them. I'm going to be seeing a demo of some new functionality, an upgraded user experience. I have that demo, my engineers are going to show me what they want to release. So that's cool.
this is for clarity.
This is in Clarity, yep. And we have, we are going to be announcing the dates, which is June. We're going to be publishing, I should say, the dates of the review course. And I think it's the 17th to the 20th of June, but I'm willing to be wrong on that. Anyhow, we'll be publishing those this morning, the review sessions, and we're moving them to noon, right? I want to honor the people on the West Coast. I also want to honor the people in Europe. So if we do them on noon Eastern, noon to 2 Eastern, there'll be 4 days in a row, and we're going to do Tuesday through Friday. So watch for those. And if anybody who's contemplating or currently engaged in the C3D course, and we got a lot, thank you. We have a lot of folks. Stay tuned, and you'll be hearing from Catherine specifically. And last, but by no means least, you know, we have, for people who are Growth Drive subscribers, which everyone on this call is, there's a Growth Drive GPT, which several of you have worked with. And Mike, are you excited about you're rocking in your chair?
It's, gentlemen, the possibilities of AI are unfolding.
Yeah. And they're now.
Yes.
And to the
Don't innovate, adapt.
to the conversation I was just having with this, she's really so great. In fact, we need to get her into the community, but well, she is spiritually. Anyway, you know, there's a belief that AI is going to do our jobs. And unfortunately, there are people in decision-making places who think that AI will eventually do our jobs, and that the next generation of business owners is going to, you know, go to AI to, you know, listen, man, if EOS, guys, here's the, let's put the truth to it. You can do your taxes using AI. Do you use an accountant? Don't even have to answer. You can do EOS just with paper, right? With a chart that you print out. I did it years ago. You know, put vision traction organizer on the wall. That's Gino's biggest genius tool. It is a genius tool. We don't need AI for that. But the EOS community is alive and kicking and growing because we are humans, and we respect human contact. Human contact is safety. And Eric, to your point about the church, what I experienced living in Manhattan or downtown Dallas or in Washington, D.C., we create villages, right? We create tribes.
Yeah.
And people will always go to other people. Let us not forget that we are just fancy apes. People will always go to other people to get the help they need. And that is especially true of our generation, right?
And out of respect, George, most of us are fancy apes, but we shouldn't leave Mike out of this, right?
Look,
and some of us are less fancy apes.
I knew that was coming.
At the
I
end
knew
of
it.
the-
It was like
at
a
the end of
layup.
the day,
So, but AI, bringing it, if you have not yet gone into the community, it is it's in the premium resources, and checked out the Growth Drive GPT.
use the damn thing once a day. You should use it per day. I'm telling you.
And do
George.
not share it because it is ours.
Yeah, George, sure.
It's yours.
Serious question.
Please.
So the ChatGPT that you have in there is a closed environment.
Correct. Well, you can give it web access. There's a toggle switch.
Got it.
If you just wanted to look at, just tell it, just look
George,
at,
George,
just look
pull
at.
it up. Pull it
Yeah.
up right now.
I will pull it
Yeah.
up. Hang on one sec. Let me see what's on my screen.
Yeah,
Good.
okay.
So
Put down
the
those
reason I asked, George, the reason I asked while you're pulling it up, if we would teach that something, who has access? Is that going out on the broader, the challenge when you're using AI is intellectual property. That is the challenge. And so how do we use that chat GPT and not give away our intellectual property? If Tim loaded up his whole book in there, does everybody in the world have access to his book? Does only this community have access to his book? Does only he have access? Like, that's what I want to understand.
Eric,
Quick point.
go ahead, Mike.
Google mindset is that information is valuable, right? And that your point is an old mindset. The information that we all think is secret sauce, to include all my referral stuff, none of it is truly innovative and powerful anymore. This is the most important thing. We have to shift out of a Google mindset where people are getting lists of people and trying to figure out who's credible. No more. That is done. Instead, it's I'm a practitioner. I get paid for execution. No one can action off of your IP the way you can, Eric. And so, like, I hear where you're coming from. Published author, bestseller, all that stuff. I have zero fear about people stealing my stuff because they can't execute on it. And so,
I made this point for years, even for ChatGPT. People are sensitive to their intellectual property, and I just want to make sure we understand what
but if it's not trademarked, it's not intellectual property.
Okay, so Mike, you just hit the nail on the head. So please protect your IP. Use TM, use R if you have an R, copyright, all of that. You can watermark things. All of that stands. However, as soon as you publish a book, it's in the public domain, right? Necessarily. Tim, Paul, you publish like crazy. Mike, George, it's out there. And you have to, once you put it out there, Mike and I have been having a conversation, separately about community and about sharing IP. Certain people take Gino with Traction, right? Gino's our guy, right? So he's not our guy, but he's a great model. He wrote Traction. He published the Vision Traction Organizer and other tools and said, here, world, here you go. But that doesn't mean that he doesn't own the VTO. Firefly now does.
Yeah,
so
fundamentally, if you're not publishing what you're doing, you are not going to get the value down the road because you need to be AI friendly as a reputable source.
Boom. This goes back to our relationship with Forbes and with other publications. You need to establish your authority so that when Tim says you should be talking to Mike, somebody says Mike Garrison, and they can see that Mike is a credible person who has some interesting thoughts. One thing we must also say about IP, Mike invented the can I borrow your car referral-driven sales process, right? It is a referral-driven sales process, and he invented it. And it is enshrined in a book, and that is copyrighted and with all, right? AI can't invent things. It can assimilate ideas that are already published. So what I'm going to show you in the Growth Drive GPT, someone could, you can't invent a methodology and process. Growth Drive GPT can put something together, or Claude, or Perplexity. Perplexity's fabulous, by the way.
Just got a big new valuation.
I'm not surprised. Good morning, Chad. So in the Growth Drive GPT, what I've taken is all of my copyrighted. So here's chat, right? 4.0. It's fabulous, right? It does a lot of great things. Here is Growth Drive, the Growth Drive GPT. In this GPT, we have 20 resources. And off the top of my head, I can tell you there are 300,000 words between two of those resources, 300,000 words of mine, but of yours. There's so much in there, guys. The entire methodology, the process, my book, etc., is in here. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it crunches on all things growth drive. So what do we want to do?
Hey, George, ready? Put this in.
Go ahead.
Help me create an onboarding process for a new client incorporating the 3 dimensions of growth and the value acceleration methodology.
Oh, so you're bringing in, okay.
And
And
I
I
just,
tell
I,
it,
I want to see what happens.
okay, I can't get out of my way. Sorry. I can't type.
Yeah, that's
You know, when my brothers went and took typing class and I said, oh, you're just doing it because you want to, you want to sit next to your dates.
it doesn't care if you spell right, just as long as
no.
it's close.
Help me create it was a stupid decision back in 8th grade, 9th grade. Incorporating 3 dimensions of growth and
value acceleration methodology.
For a 10 million EBITDA metal fabrication business with 40 employees.
I want to buy that business because if they can do 10 million
Yeah, 10 million with 40 people.
employees and they've got
Well,
robotics innovation, they've got
I know of one in Detroit.
Are you talking revenue or EBITDA, Mike?
EBITDA.
10 million of EBIT and I'll put to 40 employees.
Okay, let's see it.
Yeah, that's good.
Hire 2 more people.
Here we go. What do we get? Now, the value acceleration methodology is a copyright or trademark of the Exit Planning Institute with all respect. So it's thinking, and it'll come back. Watch it not compute. It takes it. Well, it's been. Have you guys noticed for the last few days? It's been.
Did you have a poison pill in there around value acceleration?
No, value acceleration methodology. You know, we will embrace. Here we go.
Look at that shit right there.
Connect each new hire's role.
With all
Onboarding process, you know what? This is their onboarding new employees, so I can stop it now.
psychic wood.
But explain the strategic intent of the business. That's spot on. What are we doing?
So here's the thing. It's like I've started using this every day.
This is going inside as if the manufacturer was hiring. Cool.
To do, but that's the beauty of this because it pops out and if we're all experts at what we do, we know what we're doing. You could say, whoop, that's not what I meant. I meant I'm a consultant using blah, blah, blah. Right.
Yep.
But this has changed everything for me because now, thanks to George and all of his work here, I've got a special private place to do the hardest thing, which is scope of a project.
Well, let me pause sharing. I'm going to show a real world. Like here's what I showed Mike Desiata the other day. And he was quite happy. I just want to make sure that
Did he say things?
he was very happy. Okay, so we'll use the report. I'm just going to pull in. We're busy releasing a new level 2 report. So please, I've got to resume sharing. Okay, please create
Regular chat. We can add documents. We can.
Yes,
We
please
just
create
work through
KPIs.
Yeah.
Please create a roadmap. I'm going to be very generic with KPIs based on the following to increase to what do we want to help my client move forward in creating a strategic capacity in dimension 1. All right, great.
You gotta fix strategic there, yeah.
Yeah,
No, you don't. It'll still work.
it still work. And also, but it will tell me that it's dimension 1 on the attached, not the following. Okay, now we're going to attach a document. So I'm attaching, you click the plus sign. I'm going to add photos and files, bring it up. There we go. And I'm just going to use this new level 2 report. Okay, this is my markup to the engineers. It doesn't matter. It's got a lot of information in it. It's loading.
This is beautiful. Gentlemen,
And-
this is beautiful.
So you see, this is not a sophisticated prompt, guys. We're just doing this on the fly. Text could not-
Is that level 2 report already on a company?
Yes. But it is on a completely fictitious company.
I know.
So this is Now, guys, we are integrating this into Clarity. So you're going to see AI in the open on the GUI on the user side. Here we go. Effective senior leadership team, role clarity, KPI. Now, this is just going to be a first pass. Understanding, of course, Mike, what would you do with this next?
Yes. Right. Yeah. Next, I would make sure I loaded it into 90.
Yeah.
I would have my employee loaded into 90.
Hey, George, is this through just Chat GPT?
No,
That-
this is a Growth Drive GPT, Chad. I'm sorry. Sorry,
Okay.
you came in right after we shared this. This is it's in the community. It's in the premium content, and so it's for paying subscribers, people who are investing time and treasure in being in the community. And importantly, it's a lot of my intellectual property. So I'm trying to make your lives better. Now you'll see I have web access turned on here. I could also turn it out. Now, if you look at this, what are we going to do? Here's a great first pass. Align. Now, this has all of your objectives, key results, execute guidance, everything. It has the intel from the C3D, which is not what I have, but augmented by the faculty, and the faculty is pretty broad. So there's a lot here, guys, and it's giving you a first pass at, okay, what are we going to do? Now, this is pretty simple. I would want to, but I'm just trying to illustrate. You can attach something and extract from it. You can compare two documents. You can ask it I have asked it to do trends. Here's the level 1 report from when I started with my client. Here's the level 1 report today. Please compare the two, et cetera, et cetera. There's a ton you can do with this. And so with Mike has a very complex, Mike Desiato has a complex engagement where he has 9 partners, and they're trying to do they have decided to take the business to the next level. And Mike is helping him do that. And I was showing him how to crunch the Clarity reports, which standing on their own are great. How does he interpret them and help his client understand and understand why they're taking action and the relationship between the different growth drivers. So all of which is laid out in the tool itself in our software. This just makes it easy for us to do some research. You take a 72-page report. How do we do research on how to do it? So here's a quick, this is quick and dirty. I would say, okay, you need to go deeper. How would I load this? Mike, Mike, what did you just do with 90?
So like, I don't know about you guys, but has everybody created your custom workflow in 90 yet? And the answer is probably not yet.
Now
right?
we do have the Growth Drive methodology and process inside with the business flow scorecard, et cetera. But
yeah, it's in there.
How are you? Go ahead. Sorry.
How many people are actually doing it? Right?
Yeah.
How many people are loading information in there and doing stuff back and forth? So I've been struggling with 90 ever since George talked about it last year. I've been struggling with how do I document my entire referral system, right? Soon to be trademarked. And then how do I incorporate other methodologies and ideas into it? And literally, thanks to George, earlier this week, after coming back from the summit, I basically went into Perplexity first. I did chat this morning, and I was like, and I told the AI engine about me. Here's my background. Here's my credentials. And I also have a manifesto. Here's my methodology from a website. These are the things that are important to me. I am a passionate believer in growth drive. I mean, like, it was probably, before I was done, close to 600 to 750 words in the text prompt. Then I added in an entire year's worth of curriculum for one of my referral courses. Then I added in some outside resources, and I said, I need you to integrate all of these things into a 12-month project to help, and you guys know my niche, to help service owners of financial services firms. And it spit out a 80% successful year-long process to deliver on the 3 dimensions of growth, to include conversations about some of the value acceleration stuff, and more importantly, which of my referral systems it thought in what order. And it was 80% right. I've been trying to work on that. George, how many times have we talked about this since last July?
more than once.
Right. Like it's a huge, it was like, I was still thinking Google. I was trying to figure out how I was going to watch enough videos, read enough books, how I was going to hire the right people and somehow be able to condense it. I did it in less than 3 minutes. And then I was super excited. Thank you, George. George has done the the red pill for me, right? And it's taken a while.
Take the
Right.
red.
Yeah, but then I was like, okay, this is bitching. I have to put all of this stuff on 90. I said, I have to put all this on 90.io. Can you give me a way to integrate all this into 90 specifically for, I need a growth drive track. I know it's in there, but like I was just doing it and I need a referral track. And so bam, it spit it out. And then the coup de grace, right, of my old mindset was this. I said, I have a virtual assistant who doesn't have any experience with 90.io. I want you to give me a step-by-step checklist for her to take all of this stuff and put it on 90 for me without me having to do anything. And it did it. I sent it all to her this morning. And I said, hey, I know I've been struggling to get out of your way. I said, I hope this helps. And she's like, oh my God, this is exactly what I want. I'm going to have something up by the end of the week. Like literally, she now has everything. She's got the project scope. Think about what we would have to do either in companies that we ran. I'm looking at you guys on the Zoom, right? Or companies of clients we serve. Think about that process that we used to have to go through to accomplish that. In 15 minutes, I went from project I have been unable to get going for years, just on the referral side, to specific delegation, step by step within a specific software product to a virtual assistant. That's the AI mindset. It's great news for us. It's really bad news for people that aren't smart.
I love that, Mike, by the way. Congratulations.
Thank you. It wouldn't happen. George has been sending me every time I bug him about shit. He's been sending me threads on ChatGPT. And I can see the iterative process. His initial query, which is really good, by the way. That's how I learned. Then the substantive. And like all of a sudden I was like, well, why the hell can't I do that for my shit? And George's shit.
Yeah, you can.
And Eric shit.
So
I
imagine.
don't have access to Eric's shit yet.
So imagine how this impacts your planning and engagement. And I'm going to keep underscoring my point. And if your client tried to do this, how successful might they be? Certain clients, we're going to have unicorns, right? We're going to have people who go out and do it, and they're but those cats were going to rise to the top anyhow.
Yeah.
Right. AI just makes it more time efficient. Now, what we want to do, we want to promote our authority. And then when we are engaging with a client, we want to, in most cases, we want to be good team members, and we want to efficiently take technology can generate it's a ton of information, man. How do we take a ton of information and make it digestible? Because if you put a 72-page report, and I don't care if it's ours or if it's biz equities or if it's one of those guys, Capitalize, whoever it is,
Those guys
take that and now start breaking it into pieces for clients. And that's the power of having invented and shared a process for you guys that is now that the machine says, okay, well, all things being equal, here's the process I should follow. Now let's apply it to this set of facts. And when you load the report and it's like, I know that this is the best. I know this is what we've got. How do we bridge the gap between the two? Who's going to do what? Who should be accountable in a perfect world? I mean, think of all the questions you can ask. Okay.
and even more importantly,
I'm excited.
the beauty of this is we get paid for asking a question about how the client feels about it.
Yes.
And then helping them work through the human implementation of this process. Information, like I'm not saying that, like I've interacted with every one of you to more or less degrees. Everyone here possesses incredible intellect and expertise, but that information is not as valuable 18 months after AI as it was before. What is absolutely true is your ability to help another human being that's managing multiple critical decisions, your ability to help them take information and apply it just got exponentially bigger. As solo consultants or like in Eric's firm, you got how many employees? You got like 8. Like,
Yeah.
right, our ability now as leaders, as thought leaders, to quickly create projects that we have thought about, distill them, vet them, and then to delegate, it's so much better than ever.
And Mike, thank you. Something you just said. Who was in Fort Lauderdale with us? The first time I showed AI and like, here's what AI can do was in Fort Lauderdale, maybe 2 years ago. 2 years ago.
I bet Ed was there.
So it would have been the summit.
I was there. Yeah, I was there.
You were there, Ed. Yes, the summit not in 24, but in 23.
And Chad?
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah, absolutely. Chad was there. Yeah, Chad and Ed have been to everything. So
They'll have their hair.
what I pointed out, and it's a mistake that it would be easy to make, if you start asking ChatGPT about multiples for an industry, be very, very careful, because you need to, and I showed an example of what happens if you don't understand, if you don't have a base of understanding and valuation with those multiples that came back. And we see this play out in the market, right? I've seen some perhaps a little optimistic value projection that have out there. Be very careful, because you're not going to get 10x. A $2.5 million manufacturing company isn't going to get 10x.
Absolutely.
Value, like not strategic capacity, but strategic value. I mean, if you happen to be the sexiest manufacturer, never mind that you're only 2.5 million AGR, maybe you have some IP that's going to get you that multiple. But in the real world, you're not going to come anywhere near 10x. So as an advisor, if you set the expectation with your client that they can get 10x if they work hard, Mike, fire away.
I'm available to invest in that company right now.
Exactly. That's the example of the 10 million EBIT with 40 employees. Like, we are done here, guys. We're all going to go and be the management team there.
Yeah, George, speaking back to the EPI Summit, actually, I'm sorry, guys. I got to run. I got a call from a client. So good call, guys. Thanks.
Thanks, Eric. See you tomorrow, man. Okay. So imagine how it's going to look when we rather than having to go out of Clarity, we are embedding this type of functionality, but very disciplined inside Clarity, so that you can, just imagine all the things you'll be able to do, and that's coming soon.
Here's the big thing that's beautiful about it, George. Like, there's only so much bandwidth that George has to respond live, or even in a asymmetrical communication protocol. There's only so much availability. And if we all are doing kind of our job as adapters or adopters and stuff like that, George's time is going to become even more and more precious. And I'm going to monopolize every bit I can get. So I just want to let everybody know. Yeah, exactly, Chad. Chad, I will rent you some of my time.
You're leveraging. I'm
I'm gonna sublease attention. Anyways, the point being is because I am nowhere near, nor am I ever going to catch up with Ed. Hopefully Ed will be here for another 60 years, and so will I. But I cannot catch up to Ed and George or Chad. But what I can do is ask our chat I'm appropriating. I can ask our Chat GPT questions about,
it's yours.
Hey, I'm working on a company within Clarity because it knows it. I'm trying to understand more about how to communicate with my client about strategic intent, and it helps. It's like, boom. I don't have to go read the effing book again and try and figure out where it is. I don't nothing personal. It's unbelievable. People should be buying the freaking subscription just for that shit.
Thank you, Mike. It is unbelievable. I mean, when you
was that
do
a
it
paid,
not
was
on
that
the
a
fly
paid
like we just did.
advertisement for people that are already members?
Well, it's an excellent point.
Listen, man, we are all on a mission to execute this vision. How do we help $1 trillion of businesses increase strategic capacity in the 3 dimensions of growth? And to the extent that we can become more efficient and give better advice, that is for the good. Only good can come of this.
For goofies like me, I'm dead serious. Because one of the cool things that happened at the CEPA Summit or the EPI Summit was this: I met an analog GPT. Literally, So I met this guy. It was immediately apparent he's an engineering kind of person, because he wasn't trying to captivate everyone all at once. But he was a veteran. He's referred to me because he's a veteran and a new SEPA, and I'm kind of an ambassador. And so he's describing to me what he does. And basically what they do is they go into law firms, privately held law firms, and they basically they create the knowledge transfer from the senior partners and the subject matter experts. They tabulate all of this information and they put it onto like a Google Drive. So they take interview. And he was explaining it to me, and it was a little laugh because Paul's been around me. It was difficult because it was technical, and he talked for a while, and my attention wandered. And I said, basically, you're like an analog chat GPT. And I realized that that was very offensive. He took umbrage. I said, hey, man, I'm just trying to understand. I'm not as smart as you are. And he liked that, and everything got back on track. I said, have you guys ever thought about loading this information that you gather into a private GPT for these firms? I'm like, I guarantee you could triple your price and you could really change the results. I said, because here's the deal. Like, capturing that information doesn't mean it's usable. And he's like, shit. And then he went off to talk to his partner and then sent me a nice thank you note yesterday. But like, if you think about it, we're very fortunate. George has all of this published material. He's got all of this stuff that he can fund with information, this chat GPT, and then we can bring stuff to it as well. But think about your clients. Think about if you've got a service firm like that. If you're working with a wealth advisory firm, probably not. But if you're working with an attorney firm or a CPA firm or an engineering firm, this is a potential way for you to get them to pay. I don't want to interview everybody, but you can get a service provider to go in and gather all that data that can then be loaded into a private chat GPT. That could be really lucrative.
Yes. And I'll underscore, heck yes. All we're doing is making research and first draft. Say it again, first draft. Got to read every word. First draft. We bring efficiency to you. And none of this for the vast majority of our clients, for the most of the ocean, changes the fact that accountability is typically between two humans. And our jobs, we simply become better at what we do and more efficient at helping the client move forward. But they're still going to move at human speed.
So
they're
George,
still victims of the whirlwind, right?
I'm not trying to be Mark Twain.
Go ahead.
I'm not trying to be Mark Twain.
You're not going to write it.
So fundamentally, what I've realized is that our highest, and everyone in this call exemplifies this, we are so much more valuable when we are editing than when we are creating from scratch. Right? Think about clarity and think about that process, right? Clarity gathers information, presents it in an organized manner that you can make conclusions from. We're editing, we're observing, reflecting, thinking, editing, and then we innovate from there. That's what we're talking about here is like, I'm not trying to be Mark Twain. What I'm trying to do is quickly get to the point where I can take my concepts and my understanding of how to drive value for clients and I can articulate it fast. And then I can do what I do best, which is read something that's close, make it my own, fix glaring problems, and go forward.
Yeah. Heck yes. Paul, Tim, Chad, Ed, Mike and I have had the Mike and George show here. I apologize. I hope it's helpful. Guys, ideas, thoughts, questions?
I agree with everything you guys are saying. I mean, I use it daily, and each time I think I have got the best of it, it surprises me. So it's a great tool.
It's iterative. Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm all in. I was just having a conversation with my assistant who's sitting here with me this morning about how we can shift gears and be more aggressive and all in with AI. I'm not afraid of it at all. I see it as a force multiplier. When man harnessed his first oxen, oxen didn't take over his job. He still had to drive, but he could plow a whole lot more soil, and then to compound it again with the tractor. And you just keep going on up the line. I had a calculator in high school, kept me from having to do long division. It didn't take over my life. It didn't do the math for me. But then the same thing with AI. We can do more. We can create more progress for more people in less time with more accuracy by harnessing this AI. And it's through this community sharing all these ideas and examples that are going to help drive us forward. I think that the thread that I saw going around over the course of the last weekend, I was driving home with my son, is right on the money, and that we want to stay on the face of this wave and harness AI as rapidly and as completely as possible, or we're going to be watching the other people who did. There's a
Well-
huge opportunity right now.
Well, I will say this, it will suck you in if you're
No question.
careful.
It's a field of rabbit holes for sure.
Yeah.
And that's where sharing these ideas about they help me anyway, figure out which ones to do and which ones to stay away from.
Article. I shared that. Oh, one second. I shared that article, that quote from Mark Schaefer,
Yes.
Mark Medallion. There is nothing you can learn from an AI mindset if you're still running a Google business.
That's a great post.
It will not save you. Like, you have to change because the consumers are going to eat it up. We never thought, Mark Schaefer, we never thought we would be sharing so much information, location, search history with a device. We never imagined that. We never would have agreed to that 20 years ago. And now everyone's doing it. So your choice is, do I adapt or do I die?
Do I adapt? Do I die? And Mike, what you're doing with those articles, and what many of you guys are highly engaged members of the community, please take a moment, just copy and paste. Say, hey guys, here's something I found. Put it in the community. If it's not in the right place, don't worry about it. This doesn't have to be perfect. Catherine, part of one of Catherine's accountabilities is to go and check this stuff out weekly. And if it needs to be moved into another place just because it's more logical, we're not going to edit your stuff unless we've not yet had to delete something. We will do that if it's the reasons you can guess at. But please just take a moment. Please think of it in the moment and paste it in the community. Here's a prompt that kicked butt for me. I was trying to X. Here's the prompt I entered. Try it yourself. That's it. You don't even have to show the results. That's the type of learning. We're all net givers. So,
In a curious twist of fate, two of the prospects I have for working with Growth Drive are AI subject matter experts. They're custom software developers, and both of them are at the tip of the spear and different spears in using AI. And they're amazing, but they don't know how to grow their business sensibly, reliably, predictably, so that in 10 or 15 years, they can be picking out the island they want or living the life of their dreams. There's an interesting juxtaposition here where we can use AI with Growth Drive, like Growth Drive powered AI, to help them succeed with their AI business, right?
Yeah.
Talk about a circular benefit, right?
Mike is helping Tim, I love that. And Mike is helping wealth advisors increase the value of their wealth advisory business using the Growth Drive methodology and process. Okay.
It is our go-to-market strategy.
2 minutes before the bottom of the hour. Anybody have a key takeaway from our conversation? But maybe Paul, I'll pick on you first. And say anyone, and then I volunteer.
Quite all right. To everyone, use AI, use ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, whatever it is, use it and start to learn how to ask questions of it, how to direct it to give you something that you want. You'll be amazed at how much time, as Tim said, it will save you with doing something. I disagree with Mike that it can't invent things on its own.
That was me.
Clear that it can hallucinate as well as create something you never would have thought of.
Yeah, I would accept that.
Yeah, I accept that as well.
You're not disagreeing. You're just fixing and amplifying what I said.
Okay.
Use that with my wife.
Chad, go ahead.
Good luck.
This has really made me think about how I need to be utilizing this as a tool more, even with my clients, not just me and my firm, but this is part of what I need to be doing with my clients, is educating them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. A quick point, guys. When you get in a thread, when you get in a thread, what do we got here? There we go. Sorry, Tim. if you get in a thread, it'll start hallucinating. You get a number of tokens, and the tokens is the amount of computing you've used. You may need to stop the thread, refresh, maybe even clear your cache, and then go back. If it starts getting all wonky, it's because you're burning a lot of resources. And it's you've gotten to the end of your leash. Chad, thank you very much. Paul, Ed, key takeaway.
Yeah, I think that by and large, we tend to not realize the breadth of help that the AI can be for us. I know that myself, as I'm doing the valuation work, I have expanded my scope of utilization significantly from when I first started. And does that speed up a lot of my processing?
Ed
Yeah.
saying that.
Ed, yeah, I love you, Ed. Okay, we've had Paul, Chad, Ed. Tim, do you have a key takeaway, my man?
Yeah, sorry about the background noise there. My son came
that's
walking and
not a
started
problem.
chatting. But I think the biggest takeaway I got today was start using it daily. So I've used it 3 or 4 times with great effect, but I haven't been a daily user. That, and I'm going to be on the phone to Mike right after this, seeing if I can slum a copy of his prompt that he used to merge all that stuff together. If I can do that using my book and my methodology and take it from there.
Heck, you can.
It's
Heck,
a game changer.
yes, you can. And by the way, don't forget, you can ask the GPT, what am I missing? Right? Where are my blind spots?
Paul's point.
And Mike, your key takeaway?
What a unique opportunity this community is.
Yeah, thank you. Totally. Yeah. There's no one like us out there.
I agree.
And by the way, the more engaged, he said, beating the gong again, the more engaged we are in the community, the better it will be for all of us. And you guys are engaged. Believe me, I see the data. So that's it. And update your bios, guys. Going forward, anybody watching this, if I'm going to refer to you and your work, I am going to refer with a link to your bio in the Growth Drive community. And if
Have
you
AI do
say
it.
anything, what do you got, Mike?
Have AI do it.
Have AI do it. Oh yeah, just ask Perplexity. Write a bio for Chad Connery. Chad's probably up to date, but write a bio for Chad Connery, focusing on the last 5 years and especially his work, growing businesses and as an investment banker. Copy, paste, you're done. Okay. Thank you, guys. And here's my 10:30. So
Absolutely.
thank you very much. And
Thanks,
guys,
everyone.
great week. Anything I can do to help, please let me know. Okay.
Thanks, George.
Thanks,
Okay.
guys.
Your success
Have a
is
great
super
day.
important to me. So let's go.
See you guys.
Bye.
This episode is brought to you by the Growth Drive Summit. Our theme this year is building a profitable advisory business. Join us in Charleston, South Carolina, October 6th, 7th, and 8th. Expand your network, learn new skills, and generally have a good time. This is a top-rated event. We're looking forward to seeing you there. Thank you.